Hello, just wanted to break down Elizabeth Warren's student loan debt forgiveness program, which is pretty awesome and progressive in so many ways, honestly. Would cancel debt for up to 95% of the nearly 45 million Americans who do have student loan debt. The plan would make it so this doesn't happen in the future because she advocates for free college. There's actually 1.5 trillion, it's trillion with a T, 1.5 trillion in student loan debt in this country. I believe it's even higher than our credit card debt. 64% of voters approve of this plan. And then just for example, student loan debt for a master's degree increased 82% just from 2002 from 2002 to 2012. So just over that decade period, that master's people seeking a master's degree ended up getting 82% more in student loan debt, which is nuts. The article I read also points out, I believe they're head of the largest teachers union in the United States, that people in these public service, these public employee professions, teachers, service workers, social workers, that type of thing, have to go into just massive amounts of debt in order to further their education, to get into those fields that they enjoy, because teaching, social work, those types of things are really important, but you have to have an education to be in those fields. And oftentimes you get in those fields and you're not able to support a family or buy a house because you're just shackled with these massive amounts of student loan debt. And then college, as Elizabeth Warren points out, should be seen as a public good. There's been a massive divestment in public education. There's now 41 states that spend less on higher education now than they did in 2008. She advocates taxing the super rich to pay for it. And like I said earlier, universal 2-year and 4-year free college. So in her, one of Elizabeth Warren's article on this topic, she points out that how she attended the University of Houston working as a part-time waitress to pay for her tuition. That was about $50, and obviously that's went up quite a bit since then. You're not going to be able to work pretty much part-time anywhere and afford tuition at any definitely four-year university in the United States that I would be aware of. Like I said previously, she points out it reduces home ownership. Fewer people are able to start, businesses. People end up having to drop out of school because of this mess that is our student loan debt in this country. And she rightly points out there's been these giant tax cuts for billionaires and giant corporations, while at the same time huge divestments from higher education. Her plan would cancel for $50,000, the first $50,000 in student loan debt for around 42 million people, as well as it would wipe out completely 75% of American student loan debt free. Yes. And then so she'd pay for it with a 2% annual tax wealth on the 75,000 families with 50 million or more wealth in the United States. That seems fair to me. It just so bass backwards when there's people with these just outrageous amounts of wealth, and yet most people are up to their eyeballs in debt. It's just insane. So first 50,000 in student loan debt would be erased for households with a income of less than $100,000 a year. $100,000 to $250,000 income households would see a substantial amount of relief as well. It's just on a graduated scale. The higher up you are on that scale, the less relief you're going to get. That makes sense. And then no relief, student debt relief for households making over $250,000 a year, because, well, frankly, that's quite a bit of money, and just living pretty frugally. You should be able to have your student loans paid off pretty quickly. So just really impressed with her policy stance on student debt forgiveness. And I mean, like I said, it's supported by a majority of Americans. It would wipe out a vast majority of pretty much everybody's student loan debt in this country, and would free up that money for people to purchase houses if that's what they want, to start families, to start businesses, to save for retirement, to go on trips, for self-care, like for all these awesome things that money could be spent for, instead of just being in this kind of debt servitude, basically. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on her student loan debt forgiveness plan, as well as her free 2-year and 4-year community college plan. Peace.